Star Trek promised a clean, confident future. Behind the cameras, NBC once tried to make Spock appear more human. The transporter existed because the production could not afford to land the Enterprise every week. And a television series canceled after only 3 seasons became more powerful in reruns than it had ever been during its original broadcast. Here are 17 weird facts that reveal how Star Trek built the future from tight budgets, nervous executives, and some remarkably bold choices. Number 17. The film lab kept fixing the Orion Woman's green skin. Susan Oliver's green Orion Woman became one of the unforgettable images from Star Trek's first pilot, The Cage. Getting her to look green on the set was easy. Keeping her green on film was not. Makeup artist Fred Phillips prepared tests to learn how the color would photograph. The makeup was applied, the footage was shot, and the film went to the laboratory. When it came back, the actress looked normal. The makeup team tried a stronger shade of green. That footage also returned with ordinary-looking skin. The problem was not the makeup. According to the production story, a laboratory technician saw an actress turning green in the developed image and assumed the color balance was wrong. Trying to correct an obvious mistake, he adjusted the footage until she looked healthy and pink again. The makeup department was creating an alien. The laboratory was rescuing a human being. Once the misunderstanding was explained, the technicians stopped correcting the tests. Susan Oliver could appear in the green the production intended. One early Star Trek illusion had been defeated by someone correcting it too carefully. Number 16. Scotty was hiding a D-Day injury in plain sight. Scotty could repair almost anything aboard the Enterprise. The actor playing him had already survived something far more dangerous than a damaged starship. Before Star Trek, James Doohan served with Canadian forces during the Second World War. On D-Day, he landed at Juno Beach as part of the Allied invasion of Normandy. Later, Doohan was struck by gunfire. His documented accounts say one bullet hit a cigarette case over his chest, while another caused the loss of his right middle finger. By the time he became Montgomery Scott, Doohan had learned how to keep the injury away from the camera. He often curled the hand, turned it inward, or positioned it behind equipment. The missing finger can still be glimpsed in a few shots, especially when Scotty passes an object or works at a control panel. The series never explained it. Scotty was not written as a wounded veteran, and the camera rarely called attention to Doohan's hand. Viewers simply saw the cheerful engineer keeping the Enterprise alive. Behind that familiar performance was a survivor of Juno Beach, quietly repairing the future with the same hand he had learned to hide. Number 15. The Star Trek theme had secret lyrics written for royalties. The original Star Trek theme sounds as if it were designed to float beyond the atmosphere. Most viewers remember an orchestra, a soaring, wordless voice, and the Enterprise rushing past the camera. But lyrics existed. Gene Roddenberry wrote words for Alexander Courage's melody, even though they were never intended to be sung in the television opening. Under their publishing arrangement, adding lyrics allowed Roddenberry to receive part of the performance royalties. That reduced Courage's share. Courage later regarded the move as legally permitted, but unfair, and the dispute damaged his relationship with Roddenberry. The sound itself contained another surprise. The unearthly lead was not a theremin or an electronic invention. It was soprano Luli Jean Norman, whose voice was blended with the orchestra. Even the Enterprise flyby had a human element. Courage reportedly supplied a vocal sound that became part of the ship's rushing effect. One of television's most futuristic openings came from an orchestra, a soprano, a composer imitating a spacecraft, and a contract dispute over lyrics no audience was supposed to hear. The music promised an enlightened future. The paperwork remained firmly in the 20th century. Number 14. The original Enterprise was initially built with one camera-ready side. The Enterprise looked like a complete vessel moving through deep space. Its original 11-foot filming model was built around a more practical reality. Early in its production life, the ship was meant to be photographed mainly from one preferred side. That surface received the strongest camera-ready detailing, including painted windows and markings. Other areas had to provide access for wiring, internal lights, and maintenance. This did not mean the unfinished side could never appear. The model was modified as production needs changed. But its earliest construction clearly favored the angles the camera was expected to use most often. Careful lighting gave the model weight. Slow movement made it feel enormous. Optical photography placed it against stars and glowing planets. Viewers never saw a decorated surface supported by cables and access panels. They saw a starship carrying hundreds of people into the unknown. The restored model still reveals the logic behind that illusion. Every line and window had to serve a camera position, not an actual spacecraft. Like many stars, the Enterprise knew its best side. Number 13. NBC. Once airbrushed Spock's pointed ears away, Spock's profile is one of the most recognizable silhouettes in television history. NBC once worried that it looked too strange. Leonard Nimoy later recalled that early publicity photographs were retouched so Spock's pointed ears appeared rounded and human. Some executives reportedly feared the ears, angled eyebrows, and unusual complexion made him look devilish. That concern created a perfect contradiction. Star Trek imagined humans cooperating with someone visibly different, while its publicity department tried to hide the difference before viewers could see it. Spock had already survived uncertainty after the first pilot. Majel Barrett's number 1 was removed from the regular crew, while Nimoy remained. Even then, the Vulcan was treated as a possible obstacle rather than the show's greatest asset. The audience changed that quickly. Spock became the character viewers discussed and imitated. His calm voice and divided heritage gave the series an outsider who could observe humanity without standing completely apart from it. The ears NBC once tried to erase became essential to the character. Remove them, and Spock becomes another serious officer in a uniform. Keep them, and his silhouette tells the entire story. Number 12. The Tribbles were fur, foam, balloons, and noisy toy dogs. The trouble with Tribbles required hundreds of creatures that all looked alike but did not behave alike. Some needed to sit still, some had to breathe, a few had to move across a table, others had to fall onto William Shatner without hurting him. The solution was wonderfully simple. Many Tribbles were synthetic fur filled with foam or other soft material. Breathing versions concealed small balloons. Some of the moving creatures reportedly used mechanisms taken from walking toy dogs. Those mechanical Tribbles created a new problem. They were noisy. Their little motors could interfere with recorded dialogue, so some lines had to be replaced later in post-production. Then came the storage compartment scene. Shatner stood below a hatch while crew members released pile after pile of Tribbles onto his head. The fall had to look enormous, land safely, and leave him able to continue the scene. More than one take meant Kirk was buried repeatedly. The creatures multiplied on screen without optical effects, animation, or expensive machinery. The crew only needed more fur-covered props and someone above the set willing to keep dropping them. That is how a population crisis became one of Star Trek's funniest physical gags. Number 11. The transporter was created because Star Trek could not afford to land the Enterprise. The transporter looked like a revolutionary invention. A person dissolved into light, crossed space in seconds, and appeared on another world. Its real origin was a production problem. Star Trek could not afford to show the Enterprise landing on a new planet each week. Repeated shuttle flights would also require models, sets, effects work, and screen time the series did not have. So the characters simply disappeared. The effect could be assembled with photography, optical work, and shimmering particles. It was cheaper than a convincing landing sequence and brought the crew into the story almost immediately. That practical shortcut became a plot machine. The transporter could divide Kirk into two personalities. It could send the crew into a mirror universe. It could duplicate a person or leave someone trapped between destinations. A device created to avoid an expensive landing sequence became one of the defining ideas of the franchise. It also gave Star Trek speed. Kirk could issue an order, the image could sparkle, and the adventure could begin. The future arrived because the budget demanded it. Number 10. One of Star Trek's deadliest weapons came from an astonishingly simple model. The Doomsday machine presented a weapon capable of consuming entire planets. The physical model was far less impressive. Writer Norman Spinrad later compared it to a windsock coated in cement. Accounts differ on its exact construction, but the joke captured the essential truth. The planet killer was an extremely simple object. Lighting gave it depth, slow movement gave it weight. Saul Kaplan's urgent score made it feel unstoppable. William Wyndham's performance as the broken Commodore Decker supplied the human cost. The model did not need mechanical detail or a recognizable face. It only needed to suggest a glowing mouth moving through space. Everything frightening came from the idea surrounding it. The prop remained simple, but the episode treated it like an unstoppable force moving through a universe too small to contain it. The story made the threat feel larger than the object used to photograph it. Number 9. Captain Kirk's gold shirt was actually green. Most viewers remember three uniform colors: blue for science and medicine, red for engineering and security, gold for command. But Kirk's command shirt was made from fabric with an avocado green tone. Warm stage lighting changed how it appeared. So did the film stock, laboratory timing, and television transfer. By the time the image reached the living room, the green shirt usually looked yellow or gold. The audience was not imagining that color. It truly appeared gold on television. It simply had not started that way in the costume department. The difference becomes easier to see when Kirk wears his darker wraparound tunic. That costume often photographs as unmistakably green because its shade and material respond differently to the lights and camera. Early color television added another layer of uncertainty. Costumes were designed not only for the eye, but for the complicated chain that turned fabric on a soundstage into an image inside an American home. The Enterprise could travel faster than light. Its colors did not always survive the journey. Number 8. The Horta suit walked into the office before the episode existed. One of Star Trek's most memorable creatures began as a costume looking for a story. Creature performer Janos Prohaska had created a large, low rubber suit. According to accounts from the production, he crawled into the Star Trek offices wearing it and demonstrated how the creature might move. He also played the idea of an animal protecting an egg. Producer Gene L. Kuhn saw the dramatic possibility immediately. The suit helped inspire The Devil in the Dark, in which miners believe a deadly creature is hunting them underground. The apparent monster is eventually revealed as a mother defending the eggs the miners have been destroying. That reversal turned a simple creature effect into the episode's center. Spock recognizes intelligence where others see only danger. Kirk is forced to stop treating destruction as the obvious solution. The Horta did not need a realistic face. Prohaska's movement and the image of the protected egg gave the creature purpose. A man crawled into a production office beneath a rubber suit. Gene L. Kuhn saw a mother, a conflict, and an entire episode waiting inside it. Number 7. NBC rejected Star Trek, then ordered a rare second pilot. The first version of Star Trek did not star William Shatner. The Cage featured Jeffrey Hunter as Captain Christopher Pike. Majel Barrett played the commanding first officer known as Number 1. Leonard Nimoy appeared as a more emotional Spock who could even smile. NBC rejected the pilot. Executives considered it too slow and too cerebral. In most television careers, that decision would have ended the project. Instead, NBC ordered an unusually rare second pilot, and Desilu supported another attempt. Jeffrey Hunter did not return. Number 1 disappeared from the regular bridge crew. Leonard Nimoy stayed, while William Shatner arrived as Captain James T. Kirk. The new pilot, Where No Man Has Gone Before, moved faster and placed more emphasis on action. NBC bought the series. That rare second chance opened the door to Kirk, and eventually, the familiar crew viewers came to know. The Star Trek broadcast in 1966 was therefore not a polished version of one original plan. It was a reconstruction made after the first plan failed. The Enterprise began its 5-year mission only because a rejected television idea was allowed to try again. Number 6. Leonard Nimoy invented the Vulcan nerve pinch. An early script required Spock to overpower another character with a conventional blow. Leonard Nimoy objected. Spock was physically strong, but he was also controlled, precise, and resistant to unnecessary violence. Striking someone like an ordinary television hero did not fit him. Nimoy proposed a different action. Spock would touch a point near the shoulder and neck, causing the other person to collapse instantly. William Shatner helped establish the illusion by reacting as though all strength had suddenly left his body. No prop was needed. No complicated stunt had to be arranged. The moment depended on 2 performers making a light touch feel medically and physically real. The gesture also gave Spock a form of action that belonged only to him. He could stop violence without looking angry or losing control. The Vulcan nerve pinch was not designed by a science consultant or built from a technical explanation. It came from an actor refusing to let his character behave like everyone else. Number 5. The Menagerie turned a failed pilot into canon. During Star Trek's first season, the production faced a punishing schedule. Episodes were expensive. Visual effects took time. The rejected pilot, The Cage, was sitting in the vault with footage most viewers had never seen. Leonard Nimoy's Spock provided the connection between that abandoned version and the weekly series. The Menagerie created a new framing story around the old material. Spock takes control of the Enterprise to help his former captain, Christopher Pike. During a hearing, footage from Pike's earlier mission appears as evidence. That evidence was The Cage. The structure allowed the series to build 2 broadcast hours around substantially less new footage than 2 entirely original episodes would have required. More importantly, the reuse changed the meaning of the rejected pilot. Pike was no longer a discarded captain from an unsold program. He became part of Spock's past. The old footage became history inside the world of the series. Television normally buries failed experiments. Star Trek placed one inside a new story and declared that it had happened all along. Number 4. The Kirk-Uhura kiss nearly became a safer alternate take. In the 1968 episode Plato's Stepchildren, Captain Kirk and Lieutenant Uhura are forced by alien captors to kiss. The moment is often called the first interracial kiss on television. That description is not literally correct. Other interracial kisses and affectionate scenes had appeared earlier in both American and British programming. Its cultural importance was still enormous. A white male television hero and a black female officer shared an image that many primetime viewers had rarely, if ever, seen. NBC was nervous. Nichelle Nichols later recalled that the production filmed a safer alternate version in which the actors did not clearly make contact. According to her account, William Shatner deliberately spoiled that take by crossing his eyes toward the camera. Details of the filming have varied in later retellings, so the story is best understood as Nichols' recollection rather than a perfect transcript of the day. What survived on screen was the more daring image. The scene was not presented as romance. Kirk and Uhura were being controlled and humiliated. Yet the image escaped that cruel context and became larger than the episode around it. The network tried to preserve a safer option. The version remembered by television history was the one that made safety impossible. Number 3. The Vulcan salute came from Nimoy's childhood memory. When Star Trek visited Spock's homeworld in Amok Time, Leonard Nimoy believed the Vulcans needed a greeting of their own. He drew it from a memory he had carried since childhood. Nimoy grew up in an Orthodox Jewish family. During the priestly blessing in the synagogue, members of the congregation traditionally did not look directly at the raised hands of the Kohanim. As a curious boy, Nimoy peeked. He saw the priests divide their fingers into a distinctive shape associated with the Hebrew letter Shin. The image stayed with him. Years later, dressed as a Vulcan on a television set, he adapted that remembered gesture into the salute used in Amok Time. Writer Theodore Sturgeon supplied the phrase, "Live long and prosper." Nimoy supplied the hand. Some performers found the finger position difficult and needed help arranging it before the camera rolled. Viewers soon began practicing it themselves. The gesture moved from a childhood religious memory into American popular culture, then became a sign of recognition between Star Trek fans around the world. One of the future's most familiar greetings had been waiting in Nimoy's past. Number 2. Nichelle Nichols planned to leave until Martin Luther King Jr. asked her to stay. After Star Trek's first season, Nichelle Nichols planned to leave the series. Uhura was visible on the bridge, but the scripts often gave her limited material. Nichols was also a singer and dancer who wanted to pursue other opportunities. She told Gene Roddenberry that she intended to move on. Then, at a public event, she learned that an admirer wanted to meet her. It was Martin Luther King Jr. Nichols later recalled that King described Star Trek as a program his family watched and urged her to understand what Uhura represented. In her account, he emphasized that the character was not a servant or a stereotype. She was an officer and a professional, already living inside the future the civil rights movement was fighting to make possible. Nichols returned to Roddenberry and withdrew her resignation. Uhura did not suddenly receive the amount of dialogue Nichols deserved, but her continued presence changed the meaning of the bridge. A black woman sat at the center of the future. She was trusted with the ship's communications. She was not visiting, she belonged there. Nichols later carried that connection beyond television, through her work helping NASA recruit women and minority astronaut candidates. The decision to remain on Star Trek preserved more than a familiar face. It kept a powerful image of belonging inside millions of American homes. Number 1. Fans helped save Star Trek for one more season. Then reruns made it immortal. By the end of the second season, Star Trek was in danger. The ratings did not make NBC comfortable. The series was expensive, and its audience did not fit neatly into the network's expectations. Bjo and John Trimble helped organize a letter-writing campaign to demonstrate that the show had a committed following. This was before email, social media, and online petitions. Supporters typed letters, copied instructions, gathered addresses, bought stamps, and sent physical evidence of their enthusiasm into NBC's offices. The campaign demonstrated an intensity of support the network could not easily ignore. NBC brought Star Trek back for a third season. Then, the victory turned sour. The series was placed on Friday night at a time that made it difficult for many younger viewers and science fiction fans to watch. Budgets tightened. Important creative figures reduced their involvement. In 1969, after 79 episodes, Star Trek was canceled. The network run was over. Local stations then began showing the episodes in syndication, and the rhythm of the series changed completely. Viewers who had missed Star Trek on NBC could find it after school, in the evening, late at night, or on weekends. The same episodes could be watched repeatedly instead of disappearing after one broadcast. Children discovered the Enterprise years after the final scene had been filmed. Families memorized dialogue. Fans published fanzines, formed clubs, and gathered at conventions where the cast discovered that the canceled show had become a community. NBC had judged Star Trek 1 week at a time. Syndication allowed it to be discovered across years and then across generations. The letter campaign helped secure one more season. Cancellation ended the original production. Reruns created the long afterlife. A television series that had struggled to survive on one network became nearly impossible to escape from American culture. NBC could end the network run. It could not end the future viewers had already accepted. Which original Star Trek fact surprised you most, and which episode first made the Enterprise feel real to you? The painted planets, rubber creatures, and plywood corridors never hid every limitation. They simply asked viewers to imagine beyond them. Once the audience accepted that invitation, the Enterprise no longer needed a network schedule, a new episode, or even a finished soundstage to keep flying.